Okay. Yeah.
So today we have Sarah with us, and then we've been talking about problem-based learning for a while now. And the Asia project has started in KNUST, and we are trying to implement PBL at KNUST. So it would be nice to hear from people that are already experiencing PBL. And so again, we have Sarah with us, and I won't say much. So Sarah, can you please give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Right. My name is Sarah. My dad's Italian, but I live in Denmark, and I have for my entire life. I started Aalborg University on my bachelor's, which was now 5 years ago. I had a little break before my master's as well. All my time at uni has always been at Aalborg University, so I'm quite used to the whole use of PBL and how to implement it in studying. I studied my bachelor's in urban energy and environmental planning, and then I started my master's in environmental management and sustainability science, together with Lawrencia and Prince.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. And how was your first reaction to starting with PBL? Because you started AAU or bachelor's and then master's, so I'm sure PBL was kind of new.
Yeah. So when we were taught PBL, it was in the beginning of university on my bachelor's. So I was coming kind of straight out of high school. It wasn't my first introduction to it though, because PBL, I know at least I'm from Aalborg, so I've always been close to the university. And you find often that teachers will kind of prepare you for possible what you will expect in the future. So I was actually raised with teachers that would prepare us for PBL in the future as well. The entire Danish schooling system is actually, in a sense, related to it. So even though I didn't get on like proper education in it until I started my university, I kind of knew most of it already because we had been taking baby steps towards training it already in high school. It should be noted though that to me PBL is very much related to group work as well. So it's not just working with problems and how to solve them, it's also working with other people to solve problems. So to me it's very much related. You cannot just work with PBL, you need other people to help you work with PBL. To me that's one of the essential parts of it.
Okay, so did you face any challenges? Was it like difficult or easy? Just want to flow with it. Was it difficult? Did you face any challenges?
Yeah, I kind of had some problems in terms of understanding the importance of it in the beginning, because you're like, well, this makes sense. Why do I need to hear about this? This is just how things are. But then what you actually come to learn is that it's really, really useful and it really helps you in the future as well. I love working with PBL. I think it's the best way to work with problems and how to learn about new solutions. You don't get a catalog of this is how you have a problem, this is how you should solve it. You actually get to use your brain, try to come up with new inventions, come up with new solutions, stepping out of your own comfort zone. I think it's a great way to work with things, and in a sense, it feels like this is what it's going to be like when you graduate as well. When you find a job, this is how the real world is going to be like.
Okay.
Okay, that's nice. Looking at based on what you just said, it looks like you've had PBL for like a long time, like ever since you started college.
Yeah.
And I think Aalborg University is also used to having like exchange students, so like you get to know like people from like all sorts of the world. So do you see some kind of a difference between like PBL being taught here against these exchange students who now start the education in AAU?
I think so, yeah. When you start your bachelor's, you have an entire course with PBL, but it's also with something called PV, which is kind of just like how to work with groups and how to make groups and how to solve problems when you have a group. So but the two things are not that differentiated in a sense that they're very much linked to each other, to the Aalborg model at least. So when I heard that you guys were only going to get like 12 hours or something of education in PBL, I was like, how the hell are you going to squeeze all that stuff down? uh, and and at the same time, you know, when you're an exchange student, you work with other people that already knows it. And I think maybe that can both be a pro and a con, in the sense that, well, you get to, if you have questions, you have a lot of other people that know how to solve it. And there will be sometimes when you get in, you won't even get in some of the situations that I was in when I started my education, because all of us were new. Nobody knew what we were doing. All of us were asking all the stupid questions all the time, and we would just get stuck at times trying to figure out how to get on this hurdle, that whatever it was we had. And when you have people that are more experienced, you don't have those roadblocks in the same way, because you will have somebody that knows how to get to the next phase, how not to be discouraged when they hit something. Because with PBL, you don't have a manual. You have to figure out how to go, like, from a problem, how to find the solution. You have to get there yourself. You cannot just Google it always. And that can sometimes be really hard if you haven't tried it at all before. But if you have tried it, you know how to wire your brain, how to get to that solution faster, how not to be discouraged when you feel like there's no other solutions. You have an idea of where to look for other possibilities, stuff like that. I think definitely you're getting like the fast track. You don't go through all the difficult parts in the same sense.
Yeah.
And it's nice in terms of the process that you learn it a lot faster, but at the same time maybe you don't get it underneath your skin in the same sense that some of like some of us Danes do it, because we've really experienced all the nasty parts as well.
Okay, that's nice. So basically, would you say PBL has really enhanced your learning to be more responsive, like to broaden your horizon in terms of like education and all academic works?
I think so. I mean, I'm not really all that used to anything else.
Yeah.
It's always been very much Danish educational system is always trying to promote innovation in students. So having the students come up with solutions instead of just presenting solutions all the time. And sometimes it can be frustrating, for sure, because you feel like if you don't step up to the challenge, you feel very defeated. And it's, but I mean, I think it's great. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot the question actually.
Don't worry. Praise. I mean,
Yeah, sorry, I was just going off on my own mind there.
Yeah, I was just trying to ask us whether you see a PBL model as really helping you to enhance your learning capacity or something else, like in your
I,
academic life.
I think I do, but at the same time, I also feel like you kind of disregard, because, for example, with PBL, you will be working with a larger project during your whole course. So you will be focusing on solutions that are applicable for you now, maybe not in the future. So you don't pay as much attention to everything when you're learning it. You're kind of picking out pieces from different courses where you're like, yeah, I can use this now, I can use this now. Then there's something about, I mean, we had a course, for example, where every single lecture would be about a new topic in and sometimes you just by zoning out, and you would get all this great knowledge from amazing teachers, and it would not be relevant for you right now, so you would just be like, cut that, don't need it. And then sometimes you'll find out that you actually need it later on, and then we're like, why didn't I pay attention? but I mean, I think you can also have those situations with other you can also have that with traditional learning, or what you can say, where you just get presented things and then whatever it is will stick. The things that you really need, those solutions, they really stick with you. You always remember them. They will be very useful in the future. So I think all in all, it has its downsides,
network.
Yeah, I think yeah. We have some problems here. I hope Sarah joins us very soon.
Yeah, I think she would join soon. Maybe the Wi-Fi. Hmm.
Out
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
there.
So we have Sarah back.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think you were talking about like the good stuff and the things that they teach you and how sometimes it's relevant and you want to use it, and some it's like I don't need it.
Yeah.
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 So and Prince also mentioned something like your problem solving skills has people actually giving you that kind of skill that you say, okay, I can solve problems when I've been approached with any problem or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, so you're asking, yeah, like sometimes you will learn how to go about problems. I think an important thing to notice as well is that you have, when you're working with PBL at Aalborg University, you have a lot of great educators, you have a lot of great supervisors that will help you get to the answers as well. It would not be possible. Every time you hit a roadblock as a student at Aalborg University, you always have a lot of other people to rely on to help, not just your own group that you work with, but the supervisors, the teachers, because everybody's very interested in having you learn how to use this and are very much invested in kind of promoting it and coming up with new ways to work with it and how to improve the work in general. So I think that very much helps in terms of how to work with it and how to work well with it.
Okay.
Okay. There's also one interesting question I would like to ask. Since you are much of like experienced student in this whole PBL, so like maybe giving an instance of like student like maybe KNUST when it's being introduced, what's your like your word of motivation to someone who's about to start a PBL? Like how to start and how to excel in it.
Right. Kind of try to overcome the initial hurdles because it will be really difficult and take a long time the first time you do it because you have to, it's kind of like learning a new set of skills. It's not, it's so, it's a different way to approach learning. It's a different way to approach how to work with knowledge. And just, it's okay to fail and it's okay to find out that you've been doing it all wrong. And just, and sometimes you don't get any results. And that's just how it is.
Okay, that's nice. All right, so my next question will be, do you see PBL as like the future to education in terms of like helping, because it looks like it's working so much for you. So is it like if something that the world is supposed to get used to it? Would you recommend to any student in the world to go to the PBL way?
No, I think it makes sense for our education. I don't see any, I mean, there are of course a lot of people that this applies to, of course, but there are still a lot of very traditional educations where it doesn't really make sense to include the PBL. To me, of course, as well with the PBL, it works really well when you can communicate with others, not just supervisors and teachers, but also when you have your students and you can kind of ping pong ideas back and forth. And then that doesn't really make sense all the time with, I mean, maybe jobs where you don't have the same kind of need to problem solve as you do in kind of engineering and and inventions. I mean, so science-based can sometimes be very useful,
Okay.
but there are definitely, I mean, for example, blacksmiths. I don't see why blacksmiths should need to that kind of thing, right? I mean, they are maybe not students, they're apprentices, but still. Yeah, no, but I mean, it could definitely be more broad, especially with the kind of work that is needed for like the 21st century. So I think it's going to be more broad. I definitely think more people should embrace it and should learn it and use it. But I don't think it's something like every single one have to master. Not at all.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do you have any other like comments or interesting things you want to say? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, Maybe thinking back about some of the responses, sometimes I do make it sound like it's really hard and you just get stuck all the time. I mean, it's not all the. Sometimes you'll get those amazing moments where everything just falls into place and you see that the solutions was right in front of you. And even though it's hard kind of defining what problem there is, sometimes the solutions will be very straightforward, easy for you to grasp. And you will actually feel very accomplished about contributing to something new in society, and it gives you a great feeling, and that's probably one of the best things about PBL.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you so much for joining us today. Prince, do you have any other?
I think that would do. Okay, I think I have one more thing. When like during this whole group meeting, then like I found myself in a different group from Lawrencia, and I realized that you guys were so much of like you had this Danish way of meeting, Danish way of doing the PBO, where you mostly meet at times, have fun, and study together. So do you think like it's something like so key to making the PBO excel? Because yeah.
Um Honestly, it's not something that we've learned, but in my experience, I do find that the groups where I have a strong social bond, where we do have fun, we hang out in our spare time, we play games, those are the groups in general where you work well. But I think that's just human nature, where you can communicate with your friends better than you communicate with strangers.
Yeah.
Sometimes me and Lawrencia, in our group, sometimes we would have discussions, right, about how to go about something. And sometimes you have to tell somebody, what you did here was not good enough, we need to change it.
Yeah.
And then if you hear that from a stranger, you're going to feel really offended and you're going to be sad and sulky and you want revenge. And sometimes you're like, well, what you did was shitty. And then you need to change it. And then you have a whole discussion. But if you know each other well and you know everybody means well, and you have like this kind of professional but still amicable relationship, then in general you'll find that cooperation works really well. And that is not specifically PBL,
Yeah.
but at the same time, to me, it kind of is because it's so related to how group works are.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you once more. It was really nice, like having this short interview with you, and maybe I don't know, maybe we'll meet one last time before.
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Are you still living on a second?
No.
Oh my god, guys, I'm sorry.